Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
Good morning, Earthlings. I have arrived. Thank you very much for being here. How are you today? Happy Thanksgiving to those in America, and happy day to those around the rest of the world. Every day should be a Thanksgiving. Thankful for something that is going on in our lives. We have much to be thankful for. Today's the 27th of November. Sun sign in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. Moon sign in Aquarius, which is an air sign. We're going to be in this position all day long. The aspects we need to be aware of. 11 a.m. we have a sextile between Aquarius, our moon sign, and Uranus, unexpected change, surprises. 12:30, Aquarius and Venus are going to be in a sextile. And then later this evening, we see that Mercury is going to move into Sagittarius. Now, Mercury and Sagittarius do work together. So there's communication and truthfulness happening later this evening with the Venus and Aquarius sextile. What we have is our imagination working with our ability to bring up questions and answers from deep within, use our imagination. And then the unexpected changes, of course, here. All right, we're going to remain at this Aquarius all day, which is an air sign. So we have fire and we have air. We know how the two elements work together. They can work nice, or the fire can put the air out, or vice versa. The air could put the fire out. So it's important that they work well together. The numerology for today is the number 9, and it's the way we get to the number 9 is the 1 plus the 1 plus the 2 plus the 7 plus the 1 plus the 2 plus the 0 plus the 1 plus the 4. Add them all together and adds up to 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9. Okay, I wanted to say that without showing you, so see if you could add it down, and this is what the formula is. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 7 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 is the numerology for today. 9 is the number of Virgo, of the Hermit. Let's look at our placements here in the Tree of Life. We have our numerology for today right here. Our sun sign right here. And our moon sign right here. Okay. Let's take a further look at the Hermit. Very important, because the Hermit's a part of who we all are. The Hermit is about patience and about timing. The color gray is color that represents the balancing of the mixing of opposite colors. The Hermit represents the one identity, or I am. He represents the consciousness of the man who has attained enlightenment. And he stands upon the mountain peaks as the light bearer for those below him on the path. He is solitary alone. This symbolism points to the fact that in reality the central self of every one of us, which seems to us to be separate from every other self, is the same one identity. Because the keys represent the one identity, is also symbolizes will, since the manifested universe came into being by an act of primal will of the one identity. The Hermit's gray robe by its color symbolizes the neutralization of all of the pairs of opposites in manifestation by each other. Because opposite colors mixed equally produce gray. The staff corresponds to will in the archetypal world. He stands in darkness because what is behind are personifications of the supreme reality is dark and incomprehensible to our intellects. Yet he carries the golden six-rayed light symbolizing cosmic principles and laws. As our consciousness awakens to the understanding of these laws, the darkness recedes as the light shines more brightly, until at last we find ourselves upon the heights to which we now aspire. So in other words, the hermit goes away in solitude, finds the answer, and comes back to bring that answer to the people. The answer is represented by the light, because light represents information. The hermit is about patience and timing. Very important lesson that we all need to understand. Everything moves and works according to timing and patience. The moon phase is currently 30% of the way full, making its way up to the full moon. Skywise, whenever formal hut is southing, which means crossing the meridian due south, which it does around 6 or 7 p.m. this week, you know that the first stars of Orion are just about to rise in the east, and the pointers of the Big Dipper stand directly below Polaris. The Mayan Oracle, or the Dreamspell Oracle, Red Electric Skywalker Day, third day of the wave spell of the monkey. We are still in the middle pillar here, which is that pillar that everything revolves around. On the Zolkin calendar and the Mayan long count, 8 Kimi is where we are. It's right here, which is death, or the world bridger as we know it. So we can just track what the difference is between where the Mayan long count is and where the dream spell count is. It's about 20, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 47 days apart. Okay? Because each one of these columns is 20 days, so I know from here to here it's 20 days. From here to here it's 20 more, that's 40, plus here, 7. Okay? Phrase for today, I activate. In order to explore bonding wakefulness, I seal the output of space with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of navigation. Space weather, solar wind 86.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index, quiet between 1 and a 3. Coronal hole above and below, but nothing directly facing us. M-class flare possibility is dropped from 30 down to 20%. M-class from 5 to 1. Geomagnetic storm activity, mid-latitudes were low, 15% in the high latitudes. And over on the Jewish calendar, today is 5 Kislev. The month is called Kislev, and it's the 5th day. And that correlates to where we are today as November 27th. So let's see what the daily thought is for today, 5 Kislev. Preserving the child. How will we preserve the innocence, the genius, and the beauty of the child into adulthood? First, we will nurture that beauty from its very beginning. We will surround the child with Torah and sing to it songs of wisdom even before it leaves the womb. We will help the child make his or her room into a sanctuary with holy books, a place to say prayers, and a charity box fixed into the wall to be used daily. And then, as the child emerges to discover the world outside, it is not quite the same as the sanctuary. We will explain. This is not the way it is supposed to be, but is only temporary. You and I, and all of us, are going to change it. We are partners in the act of creating this world because it is our mission to perfect it. And we are doing this now with acts of beauty and kindness, any one of which may change the entire world. All right, very good message. And that gets us started for today. UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First sighting comes to us from Mars. Many sightings up on Mars, as you know. This one appears to look like a head. Yes? Here's another capture of it here. Very head-like shape. You can see the back of the head here, a nose, a chin. It's very, very head-like. Searching for structures on Mars, I found this head. From the way it's standing, I would say that it is a full statue, but it is buried from the shoulders down. It is standing perfectly upright. It looks humanoid, but hard to tell with a sculpture. Okay. This is the Spirit PanCam Everest panorama acquired on Sols 620 to 622, which is October 1st through 3rd, 2005, from a position in the Columbia Hills at the true summit of Husband Hill. The summit region is a broad plateau about 100 meters above the surrounding plains of Gusev Crater, consisting mostly of outcrop rocks and windblown drifts. The distant view of the center of this mosaic is looking from the summit into the South Basin, the region where the Spirit will be diving down into and exploring over the coming months. All right, head on Mars, amongst many other things that are up there. Here's a story, latest-UFO-sightings.net. Many believe on the existence of intelligent extraterrestrials, but many also fear the possibility of contacting bad alien civilization. The existence of intelligent life goes beyond Earth is being believed by many. Several polls reveal that most people share this belief, but it is right. Is it right to contact intelligent aliens? The question is asked to 1,000 adults in the U.S. as part of a YouGov/Huffington Post survey, which was conducted from July 17th to 19th, 2014. 50% responded that they thought that there's intelligent life on other planets, while 19% believe the opposite, and 31% that say they were not sure. 46% are optimistic about the possibility that humans can make contact with intelligent life on other planets, while 23% think that it's not possible, and 31% aren't sure. But many of those beings surveyed are confident about the ability of humans to contact extraterrestrials. Many are uneasy about the attempted contact with alien civilizations. Only 37% feel that it is a good idea to attempt in contacting aliens, while 27% believe it's a bad idea, and 36% were not sure. The fear of alerting evil alien cultures is the main concern of people about contacting unknown extraterrestrial civilizations. Others think that there are more important matters that need funding than attempting to contact with extraterrestrials, even if it does work. Okay, yeah, there is a lot of things that need to be funded down here. We need to take care of. I agree. Okay, moving on. Here we have a list, top worldwide sightings. This is a whole group of them, top 18. Object hovers over Tennessee College campus, 1853. 1897, the Aurora, Texas, a UFO crash. In 1942, the battle over Los Angeles. 1948, saucer appears over Kentucky. 1952, the White House UFO incident. 1952, Operation Mainbrace. 1954, 10,000 witnesses see a UFO at an Italian stadium. Fiery craft seen over Texas, 1957. The Kecksburg UFO, 1965. Westfall UFO encounter, 200 students in Australia in 1966. Portage County Police Chief, 1966. Hudson Valley, New York incident, 1983. The Belgian Wave, between 1989 and 1990. British UFO mystery, the Cosford incident, 1993. 62 children see UFO and aliens in Africa in 1994. The Phoenix Lights in 97. The New Jersey Turnpike UFO incident in 2001. The Chicago O'Hare UFO incident of 2007. The Stevensville Lights of 2008. These are 18 of the top UFO sightings. We certainly have heard of many of them over the years, if not all of them. Here's a question. I've heard this from our friend Stephen Bassett on the show many a times. Is it time to end the truth embargo on UFOs? For the past 68 weeks, I've written about a little-known personal accounts of UFO sightings here in New York State. The stories I have shared with you have covered sightings from 1790 through the 19th and 20th centuries to present day. I've written about UFO sightings reports that have happened here in our own state and in our countries and near our own homes. Reported UFO stories that the mainstream press and the media either refuses to report or has been told not to. For over a year, I've been told to about the nearly 2,700 sightings in New York State since the year 2000 through 2013. Most of you know there's something more to all of this than stupid notion that UFO sightings are made by our drunk, crazy, hallucinating neighbors. Likewise, I have illustrated that within North America since the year 2000 there have been nearly 70,000 UFO sightings reported. That doesn't begin to take into account the sightings that go unreported because people are afraid of being ridiculed. People ask me all the time why governments won't come clean about what it knows. Well, it's time to put our elected representatives' feet to the proverbial fire and tell them that we want to know. Did you know the last time the U.S. Congress conducted a hearing on extraterrestrial phenomena was in 1968? It's been nearly 50 years. I think we can all handle the truth. On November 5th, 2014, 538 copies of the full record of the citizen hearing on disclosure were shipped to all members of the U.S. Congress. Shortly after these 10 DVD sets are received, Paradigm Research Group registered lobbyist Stephen Bassett will renew direct engagement of the U.S. Congress for the first time since 2000, seeking new congressional hearings on extraterrestrial-related phenomena. This will be a concentrated 3-month effort by substantial media coverage. If congressional hearings are held, it is quite likely the truth embargo on the topic will collapse. So what you want to do is you can help this by going to Stephen's page, Citizens Hearing on Disclosure, or Paradigm Research Group, or Million March on Washington. All these links are directly available from our site, and you will get there, as I showed you yesterday, a place where you can go and you can put all of this information, the tweets, the Facebook postings, put them out there for others to see. Okay? For these Congress people, just go to the site, links available, check it out. Here's a story that asked the question, did UFOs in Portugal cause angel hair to fall from the sky? Witnesses in Portugal were left perplexed as they watched angel hair fall from the sky. These strange, wispy strands descended from the sky during the late October afternoon. According to witnesses, the phenomenon was observed during 2 consecutive weekends. Here's a quote. Says, me and a couple of friends sent the angel hair to be analyzed, and the weirdest thing happened. It reacts to UV light and comes alive. Instances of this angel hair falling from the sky have been reported around the world, but studying the material has proven difficult. As the Metro points out, the sample often evaporates before they can be properly analyzed. However, material was collected from an angel hair incident in Italy in 1954. Spectrographic analysis revealed that the sample contained boron, silicon, calcium, and magnesium, but aside from its composition, researchers were unable to determine what it is. Some believe that the angel hair is nothing more than spider webs spun by migrating spiders who use these webs as sails to fly through the sky. But as researchers who looked at the analysis done in Italy's shots point out, spider webs are made of nitrogen, calcium, hydrogen, and oxygen, not the elements reportedly found in the collected samples. Reported angel hair sightings were more common in the 70s, but as UFO researcher Nigel Watson, author of the Haynes Manual for UFO Investigators, points out, it's only in recent years that the angel hair sightings have returned again. Alright, and one more story. This deals with the idea of thankfulness. In September 1981, little Geraldine O'Rourke suddenly felt ill at the isolated rural home to which she had just moved with her parents. Helpless to prevent her condition from worsening, O'Rourke were dismayed when Geraldine's fever soon reached 101. To make matters worse, the area was beset by a torrential downfall of rain, which prevented her from being taken to the hospital, and the telephone was out of order, making a call for help impossible. Just when the desperate parents' hopes were fast sinking into despair, and they felt their fervent prayers were going unanswered, Miss O'Rourke heard a particular rustling sound and looked up from her prayers to behold the figure of a man looking down at Geraldine on the bed. The mother felt no fear at the appearance of the phantom, and she immediately regarded the entity as one sent by God in answer to prayer. Somehow she knew that the prayers had been able to unlock the doors between this world and summon assistance for her little girl. The ghostly form led the amazed O'Rourke to a hidden cache of medicines behind a panel in their living room. Trusting the spirit entity had been sent by God to help them, they carefully followed the ghost's instructions regarding the proper administration of the medicines to their daughter. As the astonished O'Rourke's watched, Gerald became still and peaceful. The entity joined the vigil until dawn, then disappeared. Later, after little Geraldine had fully recovered, the O'Rourkes did a bit of investigation and learned that their house had been formerly occupied by a doctor. Fearing that the burglars would steal his drugs, he had them in a secret compartment, but he had died so suddenly he had had time to leave instructions for their disposal. Well, very interesting indeed. I thought I'd throw that in there. That is our UFO news for today. I will be back. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. Got a few more things I want to show you here. I want to get to our book for today. All right, this is about NASA. You know, there's been all the story about the moon landing, and one of the things that has been said by those who question the moon landing is the Van Allen radiation belts. We couldn't have passed through those. Several weeks ago, there was a comment by someone from NASA who said that they are currently studying the Van Allen radiation belts and they have to overcome that problem before they can send humans through that region of space. Now, how is it in 2014 that they are still studying the Van Allen radiation belts, trying to figure out how to get humans through that area of space, yet in 1969 they flew through that several times, once and then several times with the other missions? How did that happen? How is it that we were able to do that then, but now we see the Van Allen radiation belts as being dangerous? Good question. Well, here's a story about the Van Allen radiation belts and a recent discovery that has been made that kind of ties into what people have been saying. NASA's Van Allen probe discovers an invisible force shield around the Earth. In what continues to awe cosmic scientists, researchers have found that there is actually an invisible force field that shields high-energy electrons from doing harm to satellites and astronauts high up, some 7,200 miles above the Earth, and that invisible shield works just as can be seen in Star Trek. Located within the Van Allen radiation belts, the Earth's magnetic field is held in place by two large rings that are composed of fast-moving particles. And according to Professor Daniel Baker of the University of Colorado, it's almost like these electrons are running into a glass wall in space, somewhat like the shields created by the force fields on Star Trek that were used to repel alien weapons. Okay. Alien weapons. Right down here. Okay, what's up with this? As a strong proof that the shields composed. All right, how do you close this? This thing's annoying. A strong proof that the shield field composed of highly charged electrons. It stopped the pair of probes that were launched in 2012 in their path before they came near any force field. But then the probes were launched to learn more about the Van Allen radiation belts. Although Professor Baker conceded that I think that the key here is observing the region in exquisite detail, we can do because the powerful instruments on the Van Allen probes. Researchers have strong reason to believe that the shield has nothing to do with radio signals from Earth or its magnetic fields. The Earth is just wrapped up in the invisible shield, making up the force field, and it continues to be an object of contemplation for space researchers. Okay, there you have it. You know, a friend and I like to joke about this, and I like to say that the Van Allen radiation belt is a belt that was put there like an electronic fence to keep us silly humans from venturing out too far and doing silly things that we silly humans do. Yes, humans do silly things. Look what's going on in Ferguson and around the country. Okay? Absolutely silly, ridiculous. So humans do silly things, and we have to, be aware that there's other civilizations aware of our stupidity. When will we get past this? I don't know. I don't know if we are going to get past these issues, are we? Because there's always seems like there's going to be a group of people who are stuck in that animal mindset and don't want to grow past it. There's always going to be a group of people who are in denial about what's really taking place in the world and are going to rebel against it. Seems like that's the problem that we continue to have over and over and over again. I don't understand it. One day, maybe all people will rise together in consciousness, and we won't have to deal with this situation anymore. We'll find out. But today is Thanksgiving, a day to give thanks. Thanks for all that we have. We have many things to be thankful for, not only here in America, but around the world. And if we actually stop to think about the things that we should be grateful for and thankful for, we do find more than we realize that we have to be thankful for. So in that spirit, I brought up a couple of pages for you, 3-4 different pages about Thanksgiving. First one I brought up for you is thehistorychannel.com. Okay? Now, one thing about the History Channel is I like to refer to this as the Rewrite History Channel. Because as you are aware of, television is manipulated. Programming is meant to program individuals to believe what it is they want you to say. And the History Channel is one of those networks that when you look and see their connections, you realize that they are connected in with the same people who are misinforming the world on what's going on, misinforming Americans. So they throw this disinformation in there to confuse you. So when you see things like the History Channel or National Geographic, don't buy into what they say hook, line, and sinker, because evidence suggests that they are not being honest with the people, and they have not been for a long while, that they try to rewrite what's going on out there. So while I'm pulling up a site here for you to check out that comes to us from history, it's simply to present you with some of the information, but I got some other things to show you as well. In 1621, the Plymouth colonists and Wampanoag Indians shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies for more than 2 centuries. Days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by individual colonies and states. It wasn't until 1863, in the midst of the Civil War, that President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed a national Thanksgiving Day to be held each November. All right, so let me jump over to this one here. This is called the real Thanksgiving. Many of us associate the holiday with happy pilgrims and Indians sitting down to a big feast. And that did happen once. The story began in 1614 when a band of English explorers sailed home to England with a ship full of Patuxent Indians bound for slavery. They left behind smallpox, which virtually wiped out those who had escaped. By the time the pilgrims arrived in Massachusetts Bay, they found only one living Patuxent Indian, a man named Squanto, who had survived slavery in England and knew their language. He taught them to grow corn and to fish, and negotiated a peace treaty between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag nation. At the end of their first year, the Pilgrims held a great feast honoring Squanto and the Wampanoags. But as the word spread in England about the paradise to be found in the New World, religious zealots called Puritans began arriving by the boatload. Finding no fences around the land, they considered it in the public domain. Joined by other British settlers, they seized the land, capturing strong young natives for slaves and killing the rest. But the Pequot nation had not agreed to the peace treaty Squanto had negotiated, and they fought back. The Pequot War was one of the bloodiest Indian wars ever fought. In 1637, near present-day Groton, Connecticut, over 700 men, women, and children of the Pequot tribe were gathered for their annual Green Corn Festival, which is our Thanksgiving celebration. In the pre-dawn hours, the sleeping Indians were surrounded by English and Dutch mercenaries who ordered them to come outside. Those who came out were clubbed or shot to death, while the terrified women and children who huddled inside the longhouse were burned alive. The next day, the governor of a Massachusetts Bay colony declared a day of Thanksgiving because 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered. Cheered by their victory, the brave colonists and their Indian allies attacked village after village. Women and children, over 14, were sold into slavery, while the rest were murdered. Boats loaded with many as 500 slaves regularly left the ports of New England. Bounties were paid for Indian scalps to encourage as many deaths as possible. Following an especially successful raid against the Pequot in what is now Stamford, Connecticut, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate the victory over the heathen savages. During the feasting, the hacked-off heads of natives were kicked to the streets like soccer balls. Even the friendly Wampanoag did not escape the madness. The chief was beheaded and his head impaled on a pole in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where it remained on display for 24 years. The killings became more and more frenzied with the days of Thanksgiving feast held after each successful massacre. George Washington finally suggested that only one day of Thanksgiving per year be set aside in celebrating each and every massacre. Later, Abraham Lincoln decreed Thanksgiving Day to be a legal national holiday during the Civil War. On the same day, he ordered troops to march against the starving Sioux in Minnesota. This story doesn't have quite the same fuzzy feelings associated with it as the ones where the Indians and Pilgrims are all sitting down together at the big feast, but we need to learn our true history so it won't ever be repeated. Next Thanksgiving, when you gather with your loved ones to thank God for all the blessings, think about those who wanted to live their lives and raise their families. They also took time out to say thank you to the Creator for all of their blessings. Well, there's a different spin on Thanksgiving. Huh? So when we hear things about the injustices that they say there are because there's a football team in Washington called the Redskins and how this is so bad, well, when we think about this Thanksgiving feast here, according to this, we are celebrating a feast that not only was a feast that the natives used to do at one time, but it's a feast that was done to celebrate the killing of the natives, the massacring of them, and that's not right. I have a shirt that I like to wear. It says, "Sure you can trust your government. Ask any Indian." And I believe that, because I believe that the Indian nation has been screwed over more by white man than any black man can complain about how they have issues. And I know we have a lot of issues here, but people need to put in perspective that there's a lot of problems with all races. And the black race wants to complain that they were treated unjustly, and they are unjustly treated, blah, blah, blah. But take a look at what's going on with the Native Americans and how they were unjustly treated. And then after that, perhaps you can make a comparison and say, you know what, this is bad treatment all around. And we need to stop this treatment, and we need to stop this mindset. Let me move on to another story here. This story here is 5 facts left out about Thanksgiving, or 5 facts about Thanksgiving your history teacher left out. 5. The Pilgrims didn't celebrate the first Thanksgiving. The Pilgrim Fathers at the Plymouth Feast in 1622 weren't Puritans. They were Brownist separatists who suffered religious persecution because their church taught them that they should annoy the hell out of their neighbors. They sneaked away to Amsterdam, only discovered it contained Dutch people, so they set sail for Massachusetts, a tribal word meaning that's a lot of chootsits. They landed in Plymouth Rock, saving it later to land on Malcolm X. Except that probably didn't happen either. The rest of the story you know, they blah, blah, blah. They lucked with Squanto, they made the deal. Okay. Let me jump down here. 4. The first Plymouth Feast was not a Thanksgiving. Sit and you can draw a straight line from our holiday back to the minimally murdered 1621 feast in Plymouth. Turkey, the Ittas and sharing a meal like to break into a fight. All they left out was the tracing hand turkeys on construction paper. The only catch is they didn't think they were having a Thanksgiving, and you should know, as you might have noticed in the Florida example, you couldn't turn around on those days without running into a feast of thanks. Okay. Here, Squanto wasn't a savior. He was a saint. He wasn't just a savior, he was a saint. Harvest festivals were all about the Pilgrims and Awanampoegs had in common. The only thing they shared was Tisquantium. Let's see, next one. Alright, so there's just a couple things. I'm just going to leave it at that. You get the point, right? The idea is not to take away from your joy of what Thanksgiving Day is all about. by any means. The idea is to help you understand that we need to maybe be aware of some of the things that we are understanding versus the things that really weren't. Okay? There's another page up here, but I'm going to leave that to you because I want to get to our book, Bringers of the Dawn. Bringers of the Dawn. Okay? So, happy Thanksgiving. Let's use this as a day of giving thanks. Let's have it as a day to express to the universe our desire to be forgiven for the sins that we have created and the thankfulness that the great Creator has given us. And though there have been many injustices throughout the world and many killed in the names of good ideas, there have been many lies that have pushed forward these examples. And if we Americans are celebrating a festival that actually was involved with celebrating the death of Native Americans, that's kind of screwed up. So let's adjust what we're thinking. Let's adjust the ways we're doing things. And let's stop being idiots. Okay? I don't want to mince words. I'm tired of mincing words. I'm tired of it. That's the problem we have in the world today. Too many people afraid to say things. And then when that happens, we get situations like occur in the world. Because people don't speak up and stand up. Well, we can change that. We can change that. Chapter 18, Bringers of the Dawn. This one is called Symphonies of Consciousness. Light informs you. It uplifts you because once you are informed, you feel more powerful. When you are not informed, you feel powerless. Sound is another way to carry information because it is part of light. To you, it may seem that sound and light are two separate things, but from your point of view, you perceive light with your eyes and the sound with your ears. Because you use two separate areas of perception on your body, it seems that sound and light are separated as well. In actuality, they are very connected. The wind themselves around each other because they both carry information. Most of these structures built on the planet, particularly ancient sites, have information stored within stone. In the same way, you have information stored within the bones of your skeletal form. When you allow sound to move through you, it unlocks doorways and allows information to flood into your body. It also penetrates the ground, affecting the vibrations of Earth and allowing a rearrangement of molecular alignment of information to take place. Those of you who use sound when you are working on others' bodies bring about the rearrangement of molecular structure and create an opening for information to flood in. That kind of work will become more and more profound. In Tibet, when a master who was able to transcend realities passed over, the body was kept and allowed to move into its own natural deterioration because the skeletal form held a sensibility to frequencies. Information is stored in the bones and stone. In some places in Tibet where the lines of continuity in sects of monks can be traced back for thousands and thousands of years, people have kept the skulls of different masters. They have very secret crypts and rooms filled with these skulls. When one walks into these, one can, through sound, access the intelligence factors of the humans who once occupied those skulls. Do you understand why crystal skulls were designed? Crystalline structures are like holographic computers. They can transmute to the evolve or plugged-in human a tremendous amount of information. They are designed like skulls to act as a code for understanding your own skull and understanding that the bone in your body is very valuable. Sound is a tool for transformation. Keepers of frequency, which is what we are encouraging you to become, learn how to modulate the frequency they hold through sound. Sound can penetrate any substance, move molecules, and rearrange realities. In ancient Egypt, the Ankh, or symbol that represents life in actuality, was a frequency modulator. It was utilized by individuals who were masters of keeping frequencies and able to do many things with these frequencies. The Ankh is similar to a tuning fork and can direct sound. That is how it was used a long time ago. Before you will be able to experience using sound in this manner of the ancient Egyptians, you'll have to determine the integrity. Demonstrate your integrity. You'll have to pass an initiation or a testing to see whether you can be trusted with this kind of power. This planet is not ripe for this kind of energy, simply to be thrust into anyone's hands. If you were capable of this kind of work at this time, your life would not be safe because there would be too many who would misuse your gift. you will be given abilities as you can best mature into them. You begin to work with sound by allowing it to play your body. Get yourself centered. Clear your mind and allow tones to come through. The ancient mystery schools worked with sound, and in this manner it is a very powerful technique when done in a group. Many years down the road, but within this decade, you will amaze yourselves with what you will perceive as the results of your cooperative sounds or symphonies of consciousness playing themselves. When you tone together, you should be shown what you can do without even knowing that you can do it. You will learn how to use and cultivate this kind of energy and make your own ankh. When you buy a child clay, the child at first doesn't know how to make many things. So you make little balls and spaghettis for your children so he or she can see the potential within the clay. Then the child, after playing with the clay for a while, discovers his or her own sense of creativity with form. The creative form is found, and of sound is shown to you first as a potential. You are led and orchestrated through the use of sound. Eventually you will discover in your own some of the things that sound can achieve. Then you will become more daring and you will learn what sound can create. Energies are introduced this way in certain, make sure there is not a misuse of them, that you don't overextend yourself or overdo out of enthusiasm. You will go very far with the use of sound after working with it for a while. It is like a powerful tool being given to you, an infant. Without proper awareness, you could do things that do not realize the ramifications of what you're doing. Think about what sound does in stadiums and auditoriums. The cheering or the booing of a crowd creates an ambience. When groups of you make sound together, you create an ambience for yourself. You allow certain energies to play the instrument of your bodies. You let go of the preconceived ideas and allow different melodies and energies to use your physical bodies as opportunities to represent themselves on this planet. In actuality, what you experience is the life force of energies. Life force of energies that allow your experiences to come to your own selves. You become channels, just as our vehicle allows us to come to the reality through her body. You allow a vibration to come to this planet in its full glory through your bodies and your joint cooperation. You birth something, you create an opportunity, and energy takes advantage of that opportunity. Emotion, because it brings feeling and connects you to feeling, allows you to recognize different states of consciousness. The logical mind does not allow you to recognize states of consciousness because it holds on to its own identity. It is locked into the boundary of ego and does not want to recognize other areas. Feelings, however, always acknowledge other areas because feelings discern the difference. You can read the signs and the definitions by the energy that you are feeling. It is in actuality a vibration. Sound brings about the states of emotional feeling. When you create harmonics of sound, it reminds your body of something. It reminds your body of light, of deep cosmic love, and of other worlds. Your body comes into joy and sometimes overwhelmingly into sadness. It seeks and accuses excesses of frequency that has been longing for, which the sound has reminded of. And as you allow sound to play your body, you discover a frequency that you have sought. This frequency is connected to the evolution of the helixes within your body. Sound is a vehicle or conduit to connect you to the higher chakras outside of your body because you do not have a way of assessing them logically. You must assess all frequencies and chakra centers by feeling, and sound will connect you with the feeling, which will allow you to understand the information. If sound could not be pictured, some of you would become entranced with watching it. There are realities where sound does picture itself. You feel the movement in the language of sound when you wave your body or move your hands. You experience the richness of this form of communication and how multidimensional all things are. By feeling sound express itself, it has its own language and it has a form. Sound carries a certain frequency and the body recognizes the frequency. The body is keyed to respond to the acceptability of the frequency. The great master musicians such as Beethoven and Mozart were coded to bring in information of a stable nature, for they received the harmonics of sound at the time when there was a great darkness over the planet. In order to keep a certain remembrance open to the minds of the human race, lower vibratory rates of sound were translated into the minds of these masters. Sound is going to evolve. Now human beings can become the instruments for sound through toning. Humans become like the flute, the piano, the harp, the oboe, the tuba. They allow energies to use their physical bodies to make the variety of sounds that they do not direct or attempt to control the range of spirit. plays, and the human beings simply observe the attendance of the symphony that they and all the others are performing. It is quite profound. These harmonics can be utilized in incredible ways, for harmonics can involve many things. One of the things that is important for utilizing these harmonics is to be very silent once the harmonics are complete. The harmonics alter something. They open the door. Certain combinations of sounds played through the human body unlock information and frequencies of intelligence. Being silent for a long time after harmonics allows human beings to use their bodies as devices to receive and absorb the frequencies, and to use the vehicle for breathing to take them into ecstatic state. When you tone with others, you will have access to the group mind, and that you did not have prior to making the sound. It is a gigantic leap in consciousness. The key word is harmony. When the entire planet can resonate, can create a harmonic of thought, the entire planet will change. And what you are waiting for, you are going to broadcast a frequency, and that sound is going to travel, and it's going to become a desperate aching and longing for the return of the harmonics within the human race, a return to the power of the group mind and the simultaneous empowerment of the individual. What you intend to do with that sound is of utmost importance. If you're not clear about your intention, sound can have a way of enveloping itself and growing beyond its original capacity. It doubles and quadruples itself with its own impact. It's very important for you to have a clear intention of what you plan on doing with the sound. That is number one. Number two is that sound stirs energy up. It creates standing column or wave, building frequency upon frequency, and energy then can be directed at or towards anything. You have heard about those who marched around the city of Jericho. They marched for days around Jericho and created a standing wave. The wave eventually built so much energy that the city walls imploded. Native dance, rattling, shaking, and moving in circles creates the energy of this wave. When you make sound in a circle or the circumference of the pillar of light, you create a column that is capable of doing many more things than you ever realized. It is capable of creating explosions and of destroying or creating many realities. Among the war-oriented tribes, the war whoop was used by those who went into battle. Unified and unintended evocation was to ask the non-physical forces to accompany them. The warriors would use this kind of sound and to combat their opponents by allowing energy to move through a portal and create a standing column. When you hear a sound like a war whoop, you remember uncomfortable ways the sound has been utilized because it is very powerful. It makes others uncomfortable because it reminds them of the responsibility of sound. Some of you who are petrified of sound, you are petrified of the sound of your own voice, speaking and stating with clarity what you prefer. You have cellular memory of what sound can achieve, and the impact of capability of what you can do with it is some of you rather devastating. Sound can link you to places where your intellect cannot. Your intellect strives to categorize, but you cannot categorize sound. You must simply experience it. Misuse often happens through intent. You can discover the power of sound and then misuse it to manipulate others. What you do experience when you live in the city and you hear sirens? Fear. That is a misuse of sound and is altering your frequencies. It is a very base way to do so. Those who make the sound know the result of it on the human psyche. It is a jarring, disturbing, and keeps you from placing your attention elsewhere. The frequency is like a clock. It is hypnotizing, and it captures your consciousness and your intelligence. It is as if your intelligence cannot focus in any other place. It is almost like being in a prison, because the sound imprisons your awareness so that it becomes addicted to or locked into a vibratory rate and does not seek anything else. It becomes subdued. Think also of your television as the sound coming from the other electrical devices. It is always upsetting to look at the different forms of frequency control and see how powerful allies, such as sound, are used to control you. It creates a great deal of anger, unrest, havoc, and excitement in many human beings when they hear about the uncovered devices used to manipulate consciousness. We share these things with you for many reasons. The ultimate purpose is to bring you to a greater self-empowerment. You must realize that you are not powerless in any situations, and that your mind is the ultimate of your creativity. Your mind and your thoughts design your experience no matter what method of technology is being used. Those who act in their own reality with impeccable guidance, commitment to harmony, and commitment to light align themselves with dimensional counterparts who are doing the same. You make bridges of light and hold light-encoded filaments as pillars and open portals. Those who are rewarded with the understanding that they are all called to use sound as part of their work, and who recognize that call and respond to it, will evolve at a rapid pace. those who are evolving at this rate will be called one day to represent many people, to represent world gatherings of consciousness, and to change the available frequency with your sound. Well, we certainly understand about sound. Sound is something that comes to us through music, and music, as we've come to understand, is very manipulated. At least the main music that comes out of Hollywood. There's a lot of demonic influence in the music. There's no denying, and if you are paying attention, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And anybody who's in denial of that hasn't bothered to really listen, or hasn't bothered to really understand what this town is all about here, and the influence of the music industry, and the influence of Satan in the music industry, and how those involved in the music industry love to influence Satan in that work. They tie them together. Okay? When you hear about music, you hear about the timing frequencies of music, how there's music that's more harmonic than others. There's this frequency 432, which is a different frequency than the 440 frequency which we've been using. So by tuning instruments to the 432 as opposed to the 440, it brings a different set of harmony. Music for a long while has affected us and changed us. We need to pay attention to the type of music that is around us, because quite literally the music that has been put out there and the disharmonies of the music is literally tearing people apart. And this book and what I read to you is only a confirmation of that information. All right, here's our channeled message for today. It comes to us from the angels. All right, and I will be through there momentarily as it finishes up its little run of a commercial here. And off we go. All right, here we go.
The Angels.
November 22nd, 2014, by Ann Albers.
The Angels.
My dear friends, we love you so very much. There is never, ever a moment when you are disconnected from love. You cannot be. It is impossible, because you are fashioned of the very same. You are love incarnate, love taken form, given shape, and allowed free will upon your planet Earth. You can choose to experience love or not, but it is always there. You can choose to align you will with love, or not, but it is always there. The source of all healing, all solutions, of peace that surpasses all understanding is there waiting for you to acknowledge it, to call upon it to heal the ills and illusions in your lives. Love cannot leave you. So dear ones, when you are faced with a challenge, turn to love. What is the most loving thought you can think? What is the most loving action you can take, for yourself or another? What slight shift from negativity towards embracing the positive can you find within your capacity to choose? In each moment you have the incredible power to transform your life. Why wait? Start now. Choose love. Love is waiting for you to surrender into its embrace, where it will carry you forward on streams of grace. God bless you. We love you so very much. The Angels.
Okay, good message from the angels. That takes us to our meditation for today. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another deep breath. And exhale. Now imagine yourself walking along a path. And as you walk along this path, and you're thinking about life, you think about all of the experiences of life that you have had, a review of sorts, and you realize all the help that you have been given in life. And you realize the need to be thankful for such help. And so you express your gratitude, your thankfulness to the universe in a silent prayer. And you continue to move through life. And as you move through life, you see the Native American tribes walking through life. And you have an opportunity to speak with them, and you thank them for all of the wisdom that they have brought to this planet. You thank them for the lessons of sharing that they have taught humankind. And you send them love, and you ask for forgiveness for all of the sins committed against them and their race. And you notice that in this communication there is a great thankfulness that occurs, because the universe sees that we are healing the ways of the past to make room for the ways of the future. So we move through life giving thanks to the things that we have, and finding a way to forgive the things that did not go so well, or that were not as we thought they would be. So let's just go through the world today, being thankful, making that enough. Today's affirmation: I am willing to learn something new every day. So today we learn to express our thankfulness. So as we go forward today, out into the world, let us just think of all that we have to be thankful for. Let us think about others and what they have in their lives, and how we are blessed to have these other people in our lives. And let us forgive ourselves for all of the sins of the past, and thank ourselves for the ability to be able to make a change. And let's thank the great Creator for all of the blessings and all of the lessons and all of the love. So let our subconscious mind continue on this journey, sending out love and thankfulness. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is it for today. Thank you very much for being here. Much appreciated as always. I will be back tomorrow. And then, of course, Saturday is the first episode of First Contact Radio at KCAA 1050 AM. It's a call-in show, 2 hours long, Saturday night. So check it out, check it out. Anyway, that's it. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.